when it comes to Florida alligators, well, they are big. And I've been down here for several years now, and I've had the luxury of taking them several different ways. Now, bow hunting them, well, that can be a blast. You're going out at night, you're in a boat, you're kind of following behind, and you have got to make that shot. It's dark, you've got a mess of line, equipment can really become an issue. But when you get a big old gator on the end of your arrow, it is really quite a rush. And I was lucky enough to get 2 beautiful gators that way. Now this year, well, I'm coming back and we are doing it spot and stock. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is, one, if you come earlier in the season, a lot of these really big alligators are laid up on the beaches. It's a little earlier in the season, so they're out trying to soak up those rays, storing up a little energy for getting ready for summer. Now, the other good thing about coming a little earlier in the year, well, I get to come down turkey hunting as well. So really, it's like a double bonus. I get turkey hunting and gator, and well, I've never been to Florida hunting Osceola, so I am pretty excited about both for this trip. So this trip is starting out in Vero Beach, Florida. Now this is a turkey hunting destination. In fact, we're in Osceola County. It can't get any better than that. But we're down here in Florida, and well, as you can see, I'm sweating. Back home in Minnesota right now, well, I'm pretty sure it's about blizzard conditions. Now we're down here for my very first ever Osceola hunt. Now I come to Florida before for gators, and I absolutely love this area. So our plan was to go out and really get after some of these gobblers. Now these are the same guys I've hunted with for years. Keith and Kurt Parley are with Wild Florida Outfitter. Now not only do they have big gators, but they have incredible turkey hunting. And for me, going turkey hunting, well, it's one of the highlights of the spring. Because there happens to be a lot of turkeys in an area doesn't mean that they're necessarily easy to get close to or to make things happen. And Osceolas are a little bit different than the Easterns I'm used to. They don't gobble as much, and it's a little harder to get some of that interaction going. But there were definitely a lot on the property. We were starting to see hens, jakes. Well, finally, we got in close to a group of gobblers. Now, this was pretty awesome. We saw them, we got set up, we got in close, and he called and he had them coming right in our lap. But as these gobblers came in, they got into range, I took a shot, and I have no idea what happened. The turkeys ran away, and I was sitting there with kind of a shocked expression on my face, not so happy, and all Keith could do is, well, kind of look at me and shake his head, and we moved on. This was one miss under my belt. What are you gonna do? We knew there were a lot of turkeys, and we just continued hunting. Now Keith had other obligations, so his brother Kurt, he decided to take me out for the last morning. Now on this morning, again, we hunted hard. We were out there early, getting set up. No luck, we just couldn't get a gobbler in. So we were kind of packing it up, gonna wrap things up. On our way, walking back, we happened to see some gobblers coming down one of the nice mowed paths. We hit the ditch, they stayed out in the road, we got in, called a little bit. Luckily, he was able to get his decoy in the road before we dove into the high grass. And as these turkeys came, I just waited and I was shaking.
Hey, nice one. Good bird.
Wow, what a sweet deal. I was literally ready to be done for the day, and you spotted those coming around. I could barely see through that tall grass. Wow. check out his beard. Look at how long that is. I think I shot a little bit of it off there. That's for sure. Look at that.
Oh yeah, he's got nice space on him.
Yeah, he does. Well, thank you very much. That was awesome.
Tip of the Week is brought to you by Field & Stream. Trusted brands, timeless traditions.
When it comes to spring turkey hunting, well, it's one of my favorite times of the year, especially when you compare it with other hunts like on this hunt. But the one really cool thing for this season that's totally different, well, I'm using the Longbeard XR. Now this is a new turkey load by Winchester and it is really something special. Now, usually 40 yards has been the max, but with the Longbeard XR, well, you're able to get twice the amount of pellets at 60 yards than any other standard lead load. So the first thing I ask is what changed? Well, it's the shot lock technology. With this technology, when you squeeze the trigger, that momentum accelerating all the way out to 1,200 feet per second, well, it's going to fracture all that stuff around the pellets, and when it comes out, it's going to hold a tighter group because of that. With that tighter group, well, what that means for you is better long-range capability. You're going to be able to take those 60-yard shots. Now, of course, you want to get on the range and you want to put in your time. But now you're going to have an ammo that can hold up to anything you may need. We all like to bring birds right in our lap, but we all know that doesn't always happen. And when it doesn't, well, now you've got the Longbeard XR to help you out. And when it comes to spring turkey hunting, well, it is a lot of fun, but I'm definitely going to try to put every advantage in my favor. So far my trip to Florida, well, it had been pretty productive. After a miss and then finally getting a beautiful Osceola, my very first one, well, we were on our way to go gator hunting. The last time I was here, we were out going after these big gators with a bow at night. Now this time, well, I brought my rifle along and we were here a lot earlier in the season. So our goal was gonna be to go out and try to get these big gators laid up on the beach. Part of it, I love seeing the alligators out of the water because when you shoot them in the water, you really don't get to see that much. Well, when they're up laid on the beach, you get to see the whole gator. He sure looks good and fat. Well, we got our first gator down. We're down here in Florida, had great luck so far. We've got our turkey down, one great gator down, and we're gonna be looking for a few others, but got a good shot off the start, so that's awesome. When you see gators out trying to sun themselves, well, a lot of times people would think, well, that's a pretty easy hunt. You can sneak right up on them. Not the case. Those gators may be sleeping, but you have to be extremely careful because they can feel the vibration of you coming. They can see you. They will be out of there in a second, and they always know the quickest escape route, straight into the water. Now, a lot of these gators, well, they love this area because it's very secluded, there's not a lot of people around, and it's the perfect opportunity for them to thrive. There's extremely deep water, there's shallow canals, there's just a lot of ground for them to roam around, and, well, they start to become a real nuisance. Now, he didn't go very far, so he just went just a little bit further, got reset, took another shot, and this time, well, I made it count. We had another gator, and a big part of what we were doing is trying to take some of these gators out. Now, a lot of people think, well, who on earth is gonna eat an alligator? alligator meat is excellent. The most important thing is to take your time when cleaning the meat. You want to make sure you get all the silver, anything off, so it's just solid cubes of meat. Then I like to take my favorite recipe, cook it up, and when it's done, well, it is absolutely delicious.
This segment was brought to you by U.S. Sportsman's Alliance. Our heritage, our fight. Protecting hunting from coast to coast.
Did you know that Florida ranks first in number of sportsmen and anglers with 3.15 million that spend 5.9 billion a year supporting over 94,000 jobs? Just another fun fact showing how sportsmen and women are helping make a difference.
Winchester Deadly Passion is presented by Cuddy Back Digital, Hard-Hitting Easton Arrows, Hunter's Safety System, Winchester Repeating Arms, Swarovski Optic, Scent Killer Gold with Hunt Dry Technology. Apply it, dry it, and go hunt. Rage Broadheads, leading the evolution in lethal technology. U.S. Sportsman's Alliance, protecting hunting from coast to coast. And Golden Triangle Whitetail, your hunt of a lifetime awaits.
Out of everything I hunt throughout the entire season, an alligator is probably the most precision shooting you're gonna have to deal with. You have maybe an inch by an inch square that you need to hit. You're looking for a brain shot. And I'm always gonna try to err on the side of a little bit too high, because if you hit them too low, well, that's where you'll wound them and lose them. You're looking right behind their eye, there's a plate, and if you hit that, those alligators usually, they're not moving anywhere. Some of these big mining lakes that we're hunting, they're 100 feet deep. You don't want to be losing an alligator out there. On this trip, well, I decided to use a 300 Win Mag with a really nice Swarovski scope, plus I had bipods and bog pods for shooting sticks for behind me. Took my time, really wanted to make sure that you got a good shot, because there's no room for error. You've only got that tiny little portion of their head sticking out. Got them all the way zoomed in on my scope, squeezed the trigger, made a great shot. You could see that it was a hit, and now, well, it was game on. At the size of this thing, this is awesome. Now, they knew there was a huge gator here, and we got lucky enough. We saw him yesterday, but he got away before we had a chance. But today we came in just to see his head right out of the water, let him get as close to the shore as possible, put a good shot in him, and we were able to pull him into this island. Now the tough part is we kind of got a long way to drag him through these bushes, and pretty strong, but I don't know if we're strong enough. Now, a lot of people think, well, who on earth is going to eat an alligator? Alligator meat is excellent, and there's a lot of people who eat them. In fact, Kurt and Keith's family, that's what they do. They process these alligators, they cube them, they put them into a solution, and a lot of it gets sold to the restaurant market. People can only have so much in their own freezer, but it's a way that you really can get meat out to a lot of different people. People like me who live in Minnesota who may have not had the opportunity to go hunting alligator, but you get the luxury to eat it and purchase it out of a restaurant or a grocery store. Now, this is my biggest gator that I've ever had the chance to take. We got him today, just a beautiful alligator, and I couldn't be happier. It's almost 12 feet long. Took him down one shot with the Winchester, and it all worked out wonderfully. I couldn't be more happy. And now we have got a ton of alligator meat because we have had a great hunt so far, tons of alligators, and not to mention topping it off with this big one. I couldn't be more happy.
Winchester Deadly Passion is presented by Winchester, the American legend. Matthews, catch us if you can. Field and Stream, where traditions begin. ScoutLookWeather.com. Download the free Deer Log app for your smartphone. Moose Utility Division, demand the brand. Bog Pod, versatility defined. M&P by Smith & Wesson. And Peak Antifreeze, right with your car and wallet. Peak, run true. Closed captioning is brought to you by the 4-in-1 Woodsman from Zippo Outdoor.
As we were looking from place to place, well, we spotted a big giant alligator that was out sunning himself. Now this was a gator that they said was really in this area most of the time. They had seen him a couple of times, but we couldn't get as close as I liked. Now this was a pretty long shot, but I got all set up, squeezed the trigger, and missed. The alligator went flying into the water, and well, that was the end of that. But they said, you know what, don't worry about it. A lot of these gators, they're territorial enough. This is the spot he likes to sun himself. There's a good chance he'll be there, and you might get another opportunity.
It's just a big reclaimed phosphate mine. They fill it back up with water, and then alligators, fish, birds, everything starts to filter in. We got gators that range anywhere from 4 to 13 foot. You usually won't find two big gators around the same area just because breeding purposes, females, they like to kind of hang by themselves.
As the day went on, we decided to swing back to that same area where that bigger alligator had been before, and I had missed him. Now, as we came up, well, we were sneaking up. We did not want to take a risk of spooking him if he was there, and sure enough, he was there. So I got all set up. This time, I wanted to make sure that I made this shot count. I knew exactly what I had done wrong last time, got a little too nervous, so this time I was ready, I was calm, got on my gun, and just squeezed the trigger. Made a great hit. He was not going to be far off the bank at all. So we decided to go around in the truck, try to fish this guy out. And that's one of the things, once you get a gator down, well, we use these big fishing poles with a big treble hook on. That way they can cast out and you can snag them and bring them back in. You don't have to bring a boat along. It's a great way to get them, and as long as you can cast to them, well, these guys are pretty amazing. I can't promise you if you sent me out with that treble hook and that pole that I could come back with an alligator, but these two, they can every single time. And it wasn't long after we finally were getting this gator loaded up, we spotted an absolute giant out on the middle of an island way out there. Now we are talking an extremely long shot, something like 480 yards. Well, that's a long shot for anyone. But again, when you're trying to just get that precise shooting, well, it wasn't going to be easy, but I was comfortable with the shot and said, you know what, as long as I can get completely set up, I'd love to give it a try. Finally got ready. You could barely see him in the camera. I squeezed the trigger, and I thought I got him. I saw his head go up, splash, and I thought, I made the perfect shot. Well, unfortunately, after reviewing the footage, didn't make the perfect shot, just a little bit high. But left and right was perfect. I almost judged it right at 400 and some yards, but not quite. Now this was a giant gator. He was one of those that you don't see every trip and you may not ever see again. But that's why he lives out on the island, away from anyone. There's no close way to get to him. We did our best, we gave it a try, and I don't think this gator was going to be coming back up onto the shore anytime soon.
My dad's been doing it for 27 years, so I was kind of born into it. I've been catching gators since 8, 9 years old. It's kind of been a way of life. We do about 5,000 a year. It's a job. It takes up a lot of time. I mean, it's a lot of long hours, hot days. You gotta put your time in, like anything else.
Now again, they have a lot of tags in this area, and a lot of these gators, they're nuisance gators, and every inch of this meat will get used. So we were doing our part, having a blast, and we were having pretty good success on the alligators. So if anybody's looking to go gator hunting, I think Florida might just be the place to go. Beautiful. Now this is what I call an absolutely excellent gator trip. We've been out here with Wild Florida Outfitters, and as you can see, we have got a ton of gators, not to mention my biggest gator yet. This big guy is probably about 12 feet, having a wonderful time here in Florida, and this is one of those trips that I probably could never get enough of gators.